Hello grade 9 students, today we are going to complete chapter 4 blood circulation, and before we start this activity I want you to review the structure of the heart, the main chambers of the heart that we talked about. So please, you have to review the activity 1 to complete in this activity. In this activity we are going to see how is the cardiac activity manifested, or how it's done. First, let's see this animation. See here how the heart is pumping. As we know that here there's the muscle of the heart, it contracts regularly. Usually this muscle contracts around 70 times per minute. That's why we say that the heart beats around 70 times per minute. What's the importance of this contraction? It allows the pushing of blood toward the vessels to reach all body organs. See here, these are the auricles, these are the ventricles. Although it's very fast, but we are going to talk about it in details in the coming slides. If you look very well, you can see that the blood, it's turning blue and it's turning red. What I want you to know that the color blue means that the blood is poor in oxygen, and when it's colored red, it means it is rich in oxygen. See that if you notice well, you can see the blood is pushing from the auricles to the ventricles to the vessels. Again, from auricles to ventricles to vessels. And from vessels, they reach the body organs, and from body organs, they come back to the heart through the veins. Here, see the arrow that it's entering the heart, it means the vein. So, with every heartbeat, the blood is pushed from the right ventricle to the lungs, from the right ventricles to the lungs through pulmonary artery, and from the left ventricle to the body organs through aorta. Now we are going to see the details and how this cardiac activity takes place. See here the phases of cardiac activity. The activity that we saw before in the previous slide is going to be discovered here in this slide. The cardiac activity or the cardiac cycle is formed of 3 phases. First one is called the auricular systole. Auricular systole, it's coming from the auricles. This is the phase of auricular systole. In this phase, the auricles will contract. You know the auricles, these are the 2 auricles. They contract at the same time and they push the blood toward the ventricles. In your opinion, when the blood will be pushed from auricles to ventricles, what valves must be opened? For sure, the bicuspid and the tricuspid. These 2 valves that are found between the auricles and ventricles. And in this case, there's no need for the sigmoid valves to open. So, again, the cardiac cycle is made up of 3 phases: auricular, ventricular systole, and finally the general diastole. During auricular systole, the auricles contract, ventricular systole, the ventricles contract, and during general diastole, there are relaxation for auricles and ventricles, and let's see what happens. So, as I said, in auricular systole, the auricles contract and the blood is pushed toward ventricles. 2. In ventricular systole, here number 2, what happened? The ventricles contract to push the blood to the arteries. As I said in the previous slide, from the right ventricle, this is the right ventricle, the blood moves toward the lungs through the pulmonary artery, and from the left ventricle to the body organs through aorta. So I will repeat. First here, number 1, the blood pushed from auricles to ventricles. This is auricular systole. This is phase 1. It's done. Then from ventricles to blood vessels, this is number 2, which is ventricular systole. When I say systole, notice this, it means contraction. Ventricular systole means that the ventricles contract to push the blood. When I say auricles contract or auricular systole, it means that auricles contract to push the blood. Finally, now the blood reaches the organs and it reaches the lungs. What happened? There are the general diastole. In this case, auricles and ventricles are relaxed because the blood is coming again to the heart. It's entering the heart through the veins. It's coming from it's coming from the lungs through pulmonary vein, and here it's coming from the organs through vena cava. Auricular systole, its a duration, it's around 0.1 second. As I said, what happened? The blood moves or pushed from auricles to ventricles, from auricles to ventricles. In this case, bicuspid and the tricuspid valves for sure will open to permit the passage of blood. Then sigmoid valves close because there is no need for them to be opened. Both auricles contract, pushing the blood from auricles to ventricles. So blood passes from auricles to ventricles. Now the blood is in the ventricles. What will happen? For sure, the ventricles will contract. See here, these are the ventricles, contract. From this right ventricle, it comes out through pulmonary artery to the lungs, and from right ventricle to the aorta to go to the organs. So bicuspid and the tricuspid closed. For sure, there's no need now for these bicuspid and the tricuspid. What's needed to open is the sigmoid. Auricles relax. Now it's the turn for ventricles to contract. Sigmoid valve opens. The sigmoid valve is open to permit the passage of blood from ventricles to the arteries. So as I said, blood is pushed toward the arteries. Last step or last phase is the general diastole. Auricles and ventricles relax. Auricles are filled with blood. Let's see how. The right auricle is filled from the vena cava, which is coming from the organs. This is the vena cava. It's carrying the blood which is coming from the organs. It's filling the right auricle. And here, the blood coming from the pulmonary vein, it is filling the left auricle.